Buffalo Bills training camp has officially started, and this is everything you need to know from day one of practice. So, first things first, before we get into the actual practice, we're going to get into some injuries and the Sean McDermott presser that happened before practice began. So, as far as injuries, we have Dawson Knox with a hamstring injury. We have Cedric Van Prangranger with a calf injury. Spencer Brown with a back injury. His back just flared up, Sean McDermott said. And Laviska Shenault with a lower leg strain. All four of these guys don't have a timetable to return to practice. However, I don't think that these injuries will be too bad because there wasn't really a lot of concern from Sean McDermott, but right now there is no timetable for when they will be coming back to practice. And some other guys who dealt with injuries, Joey Bosa with his calf injury, he's feeling great. He is back at practice. He's going to be on a limited plan, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. And Max Harrison, who had that hamstring injury at the end of minicamp, he is all good to go. No limits on him. And Deion Walker, the Bills' fourth-round rookie defensive tackle, who I'm actually very high on. He had a back injury that they discovered at the combine, but as of today, no rep limit. He is all good to go, full steam ahead. But now let's get into the Sean McDermott presser, the first one of the offseason, obviously. And the first thing that he said, and most notably, James Cook is all good to go. Obviously, he wants a new contract, but he will be practicing for the Bills in training camp, which is very huge because we know a lot of players around the NFL do not do that when they want a new contract. The most recent example would be Terry McLaurin. He wants a new contract with the Commanders, and he is holding out. Or even Trey Hendrickson, who wants a new contract. He went to Florida because he wants a new contract, and he will not practice with that one. However, James Cook, being professional, he is going to be sticking around the team and practicing with the Bills. And next up, there is going to be a rep plan for Joey Bosa, like I just mentioned before. Basically, what this means is just, he might be limited to like 20, 25 snaps a game during the regular season, maybe 30. I don't really know the exact number, but what's being said is that he won't be playing every single down. He won't be a 3-down lineman for the Bills because obviously the main issue with him has been injury, and we want him to be healthy for the playoffs. So I guess this rep plan is just really centered on the fact that we want him to be healthy in January when it really matters most. And I asked Sean McDermott about Hard Knocks because obviously some teams, they don't like being recorded, but Sean McDermott said they have nothing to hide. We are who we are. So it doesn't sound like he's too concerned about Hard Knocks, recording all of training camp. And then he was asked about the Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi suspensions, and we've known about this since basically the day after they signed back in March. And these are two guys who could play a very vital role on this team. But Sean McDermott said that it's just a day-to-day kind of just managing the position with who's going to be getting those snaps in replacement of them. However, the main thing is that they just have to have the young guys ready because they drafted 4 or 5 defensive linemen this year in the draft. They just have a bunch of young guys from the years before, like Javon Solomon. So they need to make sure that those guys are ready to go because the depth is going to be definitely tested early on while Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt are out. And another note, Cole Bishop and Maxwell Harrison both stayed in Buffalo during the course of the spring and summer, just rehabbing their injuries, and they're both good to go for practice. And McDermott also noted how Cole Bishop just has to stay healthy because he is a very talented player with a lot of potential, but he has been injured his first year in the NFL, and he had an injury at the start of this year. But the main thing with him is just staying healthy, and he'll be good to go. All right, but now it's time to get into the actual practice notes, and this is what you guys have come here for. So the first note that we got is that Cole Bishop and Trey White both started the day with the ones. So Cole Bishop started over Damar Hamlin, and Trey White did start over Maxwell Harrison, which was kind of expected. Trey White obviously is going to be the leading cornerback too for right now. He knows the system. He has performed great in the Bills system. So if Maxwell Harrison does take over as that cornerback 2 by week 1, that's going to be because he earned it and not because he was just given that opportunity. Another small note, Joe Andreessen is with the twos now. He's the backup, I believe, middle linebacker. Very huge development because, as you guys know, he's named Buffalo Joe. He came in last year rookie minicamp as a tryout guy, and now he's running with the twos in just the start of year number 2. Big development for Joe Andreessen. And now this next guy, we're going to be putting a lot of emphasis on over the course of the offseason. Joshua Palmer looked really, really good in training camp today early on. Now, obviously, there are no pads, but he looked smooth running his routes. His catch radius was great, which we'll get into that actually a little bit later. He was just looking great. Every time after a rep, he was working with Joe Brady. Joe Brady was just kind of coaching him up after every single rep that he was, doing during 7-on-7s. He was also spending a lot of time with Josh Allen before practice, during practice, and especially after practice. They were together for like 15 minutes just talking about stuff. So that new wide receiver has been very impressive, Joshua Palmer. Elijah Moore actually looked pretty good today too. He's looking very, very quick on the field with his cutting, his route running. He was looking very, very good. However, the snap share for him might be a little bit limited because of the fact that we have so many guys who are going to be so great for the Bills this upcoming season. But Elijah Moore did look good early on in training camp today. And just some other notes on where people were playing. So AJ Epineza actually ended up starting with the ones. Don't really know why, but he did start with the ones. And Jordan Hancock got third team nickel reps. So as the Bills, I believe, 6th round corner, maybe 5th round corner. So he got 13 nickel reps. Looks like that's where they're going to be developing him. And obviously, Teron Johnson isn't going to be around forever. So maybe Jordan Hancock could be the eventual replacement for Teron Johnson. And next up, like I was saying before, Dawson Knox did get injured. It was a non-football injury, so he was not at practice today. And because of that, Zach Davidson and Jackson Hawes actually both did end up getting first team reps for the Buffalo Bills. I believe Kincaid got some too. They never made a note of it. But it looked like Zach Davidson did start the day out with the one, so take that how you will. Another thing, Christian Benford was just dominant the entire practice. He was easily the Bills' best player on the field. And obviously the defense is usually ahead of the offense. So he gets that advantage, but Christian Benford was locking everyone down. Did not really give up a completion, I don't believe. And like I was saying, the defense was just dominant in 7-on-7s early, which was expected. That happens literally every single year in camp. The defense is always ahead of the offense. Then the Bills, actually, a note for their offense, they were running a lot of play action early on in training camp. Now, this would be a very welcomed addition to their running game because last year the Bills only ran play action 18% of the time, which is 27th in the NFL. However, we know when the Bills ran play action, they were elite because of the fact that their run game was so good. So if the Bills can implement more play action this year, I think we could be even more dangerous than we were last year. And we had 2 reps of Christian Benford versus Keon Coleman. Benford won both of them. However, the second one, it seemed like from what people were saying, it could have been defensive pass interference. So take that as you will. Then another cornerback, Trey White. He was looking great early. We don't want to jinx it because obviously he's a Bills fan favorite. We want him to be great, but he was a little rough. He wasn't really that great last year. But Trey White looked really, really good today. Sticky in man coverage. Also really good in zone coverage. Just really not letting there be any room for Josh Allen to throw the ball. However, the same could be said for Maxwell Hairston, who is fantastic in coverage today. He led up a touchdown to Dalton Kincaid over the middle. That was his only real blunder of the day. And for a rookie cornerback, you can't really complain too much. And a standout play for Maxwell Hairston was he actually got a pass breakup on KJ Hamler. Now, the reason why this is so important is because Maxwell Hairston was like 3 or 4 steps behind KJ Hamler. And KJ Hamler was a speedy guy, so it's not like he's, just getting burnt by anyone. Maxwell Hairston was 3 or 4 steps behind him. And with his closing speed, he was able to close in, made a diving pass breakup. And the reason that's important, that was his strength in college, his closing speed. If he could bring that to the NFL, that'd be absolutely huge. And now getting into the cornerback or the quarterback 2 competition. So obviously it's going to be Mitchell Trubisky versus Mike White. Mitchell Trubisky kind of just gets the upper hand just because he's been here for a longer amount of time. And especially after this play, Mike White had a wide open KJ Hamler and just missed him by a very big margin. So Mike White did not have a good first day. But like I said, it's still the first day. Pads aren't even on yet. And Daquan Hardy, who was kind of a training camp standout last year, it was a surprise cut going into the season. He was starting at the outside cornerback position for the 3rd team. So, hopefully if he could, continue to develop this offseason, maybe he'll make the team as the 5th or 6th cornerback. You never know. And as far as the punt returning competition, KJ Hamler, Brandon Codrington, and Daquan Hardy all got reps there. Obviously, Brandon Codrington was our starting kick returner and punt returner last year, and he did a fantastic job at that. So obviously, I would kind of want to keep Codrington in at that role, but if KJ Hamler or Daquan Hardy beat him out, then so be it. But that is it really for practice. Obviously, Josh Allen, he had some good throws, he had some incompletions, but that's really just it from practice because, like I said, there is no pads. Not a ton happened today. And then we have 2 pressers to end this video. So Joey Bosa and Josh Allen both did speak after practice. Joey Bosa, his press conference was very straightforward. So he feels like he has a close bond with the defensive line, something he hasn't felt in the last 9 years with any of his Chargers teammates. He also felt like he needed a fresh start because they kind of get a lot of injuries. It was getting a little redundant with the Chargers. They weren't really going anywhere. So he felt he needed a fresh start, and Buffalo was the right place to be. He also says that he has no issue with his calf as of right now. Obviously, he had that injury in the spring, but right now he feels, all good, no complaints. And also just taking things one step at a time, is doing things with intention to make sure that he could be on the field for his teammates, and, get that goal of winning a Super Bowl trophy. And then we have the Josh Allen presser, which ended the day. I think there's a Brendan Bean press conference, which I could leave some of those notes in the comment section down below, but it hasn't happened yet. I want to get this video out for you guys like I will be doing every single day for Buffalo Bills training camp. And if you have made it this far into the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel because you'll get these videos every single day for Buffalo Bills training camp. Now getting into the Josh Allen presser, he says it kind of feels weird to be mic'd up for Hard Knocks. However, it's not really an issue because the guys at Hard Knocks are making him feel pretty, safe about what they're going to be using, what they're not going to be using. So he feels pretty good. Also say, the quote that Sean McDermott says, just be you with us when talking to like the rookies and the young guys about being on Hard Knocks. There are cameras, so you just have to be yourself. Whatever they show, they show. They can't really control it. They just got to be themselves and grow as a team within these next 2.5 weeks during training camp. And also, just have to take things one day at a time. This was also said when he was asked by the Chiefs, the fact that they're 0-4 against the Chiefs in the playoffs. Like he said, just have to take things one day at a time. Obviously, they want to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, but they can't think about it all the time. First, they just got to make the playoffs, and obviously, you're going to have probably that inevitable matchup with the Chiefs, and that's how you're going to get to the Super Bowl. But the first step is just to make it to the playoffs, so that's what they're focused on right now. And he made note that he just has to get as many reps in as possible with these skill position guys because they all have so much potential, and they just have to get reps to see who he's most comfortable with. Is going to be able to get the most playing time and receptions on the team and targets. And he made note of Elijah Moore, how he's just fun to be around, and he could play both inside and outside, so it's like good versatility. He also mentioned how his route running was very, very good early on. So Elijah Moore on Josh Allen's good side already, which is a good sign for him. And he was also asked about Dalton Kincaid trying to have like a breakout year this year, but he said that it's kind of his fault why the narrative around Dalton Kincaid is like that. He said watching back film, he missed like 3 touchdowns to Dalton Kincaid, and he feels bad because the whole narrative around Kincaid could have been so different this year. But I like that accountability from Josh Allen. And he's saying how he just has to find his targets a little bit quicker. He has to get his eyes in the right place. So Josh Allen, when asked about Dalton Kincaid, kind of just blamed himself for the reason why Kincaid has not broken out yet. Like I said before, how Josh Allen and Josh Palmer were talking a lot after practice, and he was saying how they're just working on that or working on the red zone, the touchdown plays, because he is a big body receiver. So just getting comfortable with Josh Palmer in the red zone would be very, very huge because he is obviously a big threat. And he mentioned how his catch radius is elite. And he gets great separation with his feet. So I think Josh Palmer could end up being one of the top 3 targets for Josh Allen this upcoming season. He also mentions how having all 10 offensive linemen back from last year is huge because he's comfortable with them. And because everyone came back, he knows that they're comfortable with Josh Allen being their QB. So just having all the 10 guys back makes life easier for Josh Allen and the offensive line. Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the notes I have from day 1 of practice. And like I said before, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel because these videos will be coming out every single day of training camp and going into the preseason and going into the regular season. So Bills fans, stay tuned for more videos just like this. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.